Next article we're going to be talking about is buy a house, get a gold bar. This is out of China. So, a Chinese property developer is offering free gold bars to home buyers in a bid to boost home sales. The campaign has since been suspended. Multiple buyers are saying they're experiencing a month-long wait for their promised gold. Now, this is reportedly the Hufang Group, based in Hangzhou, China, and eastern China. They've been offering around 2.2 pounds of gold. That's worth about $66,000 for the purchase of a 1,000 square foot apartment that has a price range generally from a bit over 300,000 to about 350,000.
So why not just give a price discount?
I think that's probably a commentary on how Chinese feel about their currency.
Well,
Because
how about
yeah.
they upgrade the real estate? I mean, I'll take that gold bar and I'll, maybe put some pipes and some electric, some smart home features, Maybe I'll make it 1,200 square feet instead of 1,000,
Well,
you
that
know?
again is also I don't know about these particular developments, but sometimes in the Chinese market they actually don't put all that stuff in because there's a taboo
Yeah.
about
Pipes and
buying.
electric.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
that's
because
great.
there's sometimes a taboo
The feng
about buying
shui.
something that's kind of been developed or built for somebody else, and they'll want to sometimes tear that out. But in terms of the pipes and electric, sometimes these properties are never really actually envisioned having somebody live in them. They're bought as purely investment properties to move from one buyer to another. So there's and maybe we'll cover this later. There's the stories about Chinese ghost cities where you drive and there's a place of very affordable land and there's high rises and malls and it's all empty. It's all there for investment purposes, being able to hold the asset, sell the asset to somebody else, but never actually. I know it's bizarre. The Chinese property market's a little bit different than the U.S. market.
Bizarre. I can't wrap my head around what's the inherent value if it's always vacant.
The inherent value is there's been essentially a guarantee from the Chinese government that the value won't drop, that they've always come in and supported the property market
So
and
here's
done
a bar of
bailouts.
gold because the government can't support
Yeah.
their currency.
Here's a bar of gold. That's good. Can I get it on
Yeah.
deposit at a casino in Macau, and then
Yeah.
I'll sell the apartment to somebody else? I'll just pick up, 60,000 of gambling.
Yeah, I think they have kind of. I would need to research this. They may have cut down on the gambling a bit as a vice. It is
Oh,
a much
oh,
more
good.
tightly controlled. So if you're a Chinese citizen and you want to invest in something, you're really restricted. And we actually did a previous piece on the money laundering aspect of how the drug cartels are with Chinese organized crime
That's true.
to allow Chinese to buy U.S. real estate because they're restricted in moving money out of the country. So this is
So it's a
y-
constant Ponzi scheme for China.
yeah, real estate really has become that as well as
Sure.
a job creation scheme, right? It's a way to create a lot of construction jobs, keep people employed, and then it's also been a way to have citizens and municipalities fund those jobs in return for some safety in terms of investment returns with kind of not an explicit but kind of an implicit guarantee from the Chinese government that and there are concerns that this can't work and last forever. But
Well, I kind
so
of said that
far.
tongue in cheek, but as you kind of just said, it's kind of interesting. I hate to be the kind of the bad guy here, and I don't mean this disparagingly to anybody in China, but it sounds like you're kicking the can down for a greater problem, kicking the can down the road for a greater problem, a greater hurt, because you're
Wait. Who
unwilling
does
to,
that sound like?
all of us.
All of us?
I mean,
Let's
theoretically,
I mean, all of these rounds of support from the government that, didn't
that's what I
lead to
mean.
any kind of inflation, that we just move it down the road and make it
Yeah.
someone else's problem. I got it. Well, Jeff, I was going to ask you a different question. You and I have both built things, right? And Steve, to an extent, you've been involved in real estate and development too. When we go out and let's say you do a $50 million project, we're not writing a check for 50 million bucks. So we got to get a bank and we have investors and everything else. We got to put a budget in front of them. What do you think someone would say if they saw a budget that had a line item that just said gold? Do you think we're gonna get funding for that project?
I venture to say that it doesn't say gold other than on a closing statement. It essentially says house at 500, buyers, credits, debits, whatever, has a monetary amount that's also in the line item says gold. So
Yeah, it says gold. So there's a budgetary line item that says gold. I got to go out and buy gold to
well,
give to people.
so I think to your point, so if you're giving gold, but here's a better question. What if you're the buyer? Is your value based off of the value less the gold for your LTV, or is it the value which you bought it and you get to keep the gold?
I'd venture to say it's the value of what you bought it, and the gold was, like a parting gift.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit better than open up a bank account, get a free toaster.
I don't want
But
to open a bank in China. Let's just put it that way. I feel like you just kind of screwed yourself there. Other than maybe you get a couple years of debt service out of that $60,000.
yeah, I think this just kind of goes to it's kind of a fun article for us to talk about a very different property market in terms of what's going on in China. Very, very different. And market maybe isn't even the right word since there's so much government control over it. I don't know what you would call it. A free market, you definitely wouldn't. But I do think, in all seriousness, it's maybe something we talk about a little bit more in the future, just from the aspect of China's role in the global economy and any fallout we might see from that more broadly. Maybe that's something in the future. There's a little bit more of a serious point right now, but I think the more interesting point is that there has been enough weakness in terms of the Chinese property market currently that a developer felt the need to offer bars of gold to move some units.
Yeah, I think that
Fun.
says ailing housing market is really
Yeah.
what the title is.